Good evening. Thanks for listening to the first of hopefully many daily updates for our conditions report for ScubaViz.us. What I'm going to do is give you a rundown of what the map's talking about and some of the other forecast tools that I used to come up with a visibility forecast for our area. If you like the way I'm doing these videos or you have comments or suggestions, please post them in the comments so I can improve on these. Here's today's image, and over here you can see the date that this file was run and the time period the satellite flew over right here. These white lines are the natural reefs and ledges that are in the area. This is like half north. It corresponds to the structures that are on the Halifax Sports Fishing chart, as well as bathymetry on USGS publications. These red boxes are the permitted Volusia County reef sites. These two little spots are the nearshore reefs. Unfortunately, this particular image had a lot of cloud cover, obviously because it was raining most of the day, but we can see some of the areas, and it looks like even near shore, we had K490 values that were in a range that's diveable. Gary did post that we had 10 feet of viz on Site 14. That's under these clouds here. But as you can see down here, there's a little bit of green. So in this range, in this lime green area, is typically the lighting range or the color range of the values where you're going to see just barely good enough to dive. So 5 to 10 foot of viz. Once you start getting into the blues where you're closer to a 0.1 value, your visibility will increase to 20 to 30 feet of viz. And then if you get into the deep blues, that's when you really get into the 40, 50, 60, and more feet of visibility. Keep in mind, this is water attenuation, which means it's looking through the surface and how far the water goes in. Basically, it's measuring how blue the water is, and that tells it how clear it is. So this water is dirtier, and thus has a higher K490 value. So anyway, let's get into the forecast. So over the last few days, we've been observing very similar conditions with some current from the south, thunderstorms. We've had last 2 days an increase in the swell, went from about a foot to 2 feet, and we can see that on checkthewaves.com buoy, which I like to look at. Currently it's 2.5 feet, 9-second period. And we can see over the last 24 hours it's fluctuated quite a bit, but I know that a day and a half ago, it was less than 2 feet. So now it's been fluctuating up 2.5, almost 3 feet at times. The period has been staying pretty static, but as you can see, it's dropped a little bit this afternoon. Probably the wind, onshore winds, has caused the period to shorten up. So back over to our maps. Like I said yesterday and today, we've had significant thunderstorms and cloud cover, so it's not giving us a whole lot of information. But fortunately, we did have a few people that posted on the Reef Report. And if you're not a member of that, Volusia County Reef Report, go ahead and click join on Facebook if you're interested. So we had a report from Gary and Gregory. So he had a good video there too. We love that. Anyway, so the days before this, conditions have been pretty similar, but like I said, the wave height was a little bit smaller, so we weren't getting as much interaction with the bottom. So as you can see out here on some of the natural ledges, there was some turbidity, but some of the areas were good. We can't see where he dove because if he was on the Liberty ship, it would have been on Site 3, which is right here. But we could guess that it was probably a similar value to in here, which is about maybe a 1.3 or something like that K90 value. Anyway, this was the day before yesterday. Decent image. And the day before that, pretty much the same. So we're going to see this same condition probably getting slowly worse over the next day or two until we get closer to Wednesday. And then if we look at the forecast models, see today it was just starting to get 2-foot swells. And we're going to see Monday, it's going to get a little bigger. Tuesday, now we can start to see Matthew coming into the picture. We start getting the onshore flow here we can see this onshore flow, and if we click over to the wind, you can see we're getting this northeast wind starting Tuesday. Actually, a little bit even tomorrow afternoon. Then Wednesday, it really sets in, and then they're thinking it's going to buzz by us Thursday, Friday. So that's when we'll see the most of it. I would expect it's probably going to be similar conditions to the last storm we had a couple weeks ago. I don't really expect it to be major, but there are, let me skip over to the models. There are a few models that wing it over by us, but most of them are in agreement it's going to stay pretty far offshore, so I wouldn't really expect anything more than tropical storm force winds. Here, this model is another way of looking at the wind forecast, and as you can see over there to the right, it's showing Thursday, Friday winds are 20 to 30 miles an hour. So that's substantial. It's going to mess up the Viz pretty bad, but the last one that came through that was similar, it cleaned up pretty quick. So here's the NOAA forecast, the text forecast a lot of us probably look at, and they're showing just basic 4 foot, 9-second period, then increasing to 5 feet, 6 feet, maybe bigger. They're calling for 9 to 10 foot seas. I know some other people were posting that we might get something like 20 foot seas, but just depends on where that storm goes. Here is the NOAA nearshore forecast models, and these are good for looking into our area as far as the wave height and period predictions go. And as you can see, 5 days out, they are showing here 8 to 9 foot waves coming into our area. As far as the period goes, it doesn't really start to get much different than it is now until 100 to 120 days out, 120 hours out, which is 4 days, 5 days out. Period is generally what you need to worry about more when it comes to visibility, because the longer the period, the more the wave stretches down and increases the velocity of the water at the very bottom, and that's what's actually moving the sand and sediments around, and will pick up more stuff. So a 5 foot short period swell has much less impact on the bottom than a 5 foot long period swell. And that's also when you divers down there, you'll feel it. You feel it actually surging, because it's actually reaching way down there to the bottom and moving things around. So if you take a look at this model, this is showing period out, wave period out on Wednesday is when it really starts to increase. And they're predicting a 9-second here, maybe more. See, if this starts to get closer, where we get this longer period swell, it really just depends on how much wind we get. If we don't get a lot of wind to break up those long rollers, then we're going to get this right here. Look at that 10-second period, which will probably mean more. This kind of underpredicts the period a lot of times. So anyway, what I'm thinking, it's going to be probably a good week and a half. Those of you with bigger boats, we go back over here to the area forecast. If you got a bigger boat, maybe the next 2 days you might be able to get out there and get some fishing, maybe some diving, if you don't mind doing with low vis. But pretty much after that, we're going to expect at least a week and a half until it cleans up. So I hope this video was informative for you. I'm going to try and hone in my skills on these videos and get a little better at them. So, like I said, don't forget to make sure you're joined to the Volusia County Reef Report on Facebook, and like ScubaViz.us on Facebook. You can also visit my website, ScubaViz, for the daily images. I have a script that runs and posts the daily images to this site every day as soon as they're available. So it downloads the data from NOAA and processes them, adds all this content with the reef sites and whatnot, and sends it back up to my site. So, like ScubaViz.us and the Reef Report, and let me know what you think.